Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Logan Riley Bruner, who played Fred in season 4 of Stranger Things, which is streaming worldwide now on Netflix. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I think this is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. I mean, it's been pretty nonstop for you. I mean, Fred Benson is in 2 episodes of Stranger Things Volume 1, and I don't think it's slowed down for you specifically at all.
No, I mean, it's been... the show dropped and it was just insane. It was like my social media blew up and calls and just... It's been a whirlwind of a process.
No, absolutely. It's interesting because how far in advance did you get the scripts, or how far in advance did you know about what you were kind of getting yourself into with the storyline? Because I feel like there's a lot of cool things kind of happening. I don't want to ask, but how far in advance did you kind of know what was going on? That's my question.
I knew like right around the time I started, we had the whole break because of the pandemic hitting, and like I knew I was cast in December of 2019, and then we were supposed to film March 2020, but I didn't get like official scripts until October, November 2020. And so that really when I started to get some insight into like what was going to happen, what the vibe of the character was going to be. And it was just exciting the whole way.
Yeah, no, because I do feel like it's pretty cool because there is kind of a lot at play with Fred. There's the school paper with Nancy. There's obviously, spoiler of the Vecna situation. There is a lot kind of happening. So is it just kind of exciting to kind of play a character where there is a lot of kind of little things happening at once specifically?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's super interesting to come into a world that's already so well established and has just a really like focused story that they're telling. They have so much going on that it gives you a lot to play with. And so I just took everything that the Duffers gave me and really ran with it.
Oh, absolutely. What was it like kind of just like getting into the character, the aesthetic of kind of going back in time, the glasses? Like, what was that like kind of preparing specifically for Fred?
I mean, I worked with glasses in the audition because I really wanted to show them like what I looked like in that vibe. So I was kind of prepared for that. And I've worked a lot of period stuff just throughout my career. So going back to the 80s was a blast. I mean, once I had like the costume and the glasses and the hair and kind of everything was all in place, I really started to feel the character.
Yeah.
And so I always feel like a lot of those kind of external things that other people bring to the project really help you to find that energy for whoever you're going to be playing. And so I just used everything they gave me and brought it to life.
I said in the beginning before we started the interview, I said, I think you're on the greatest show ever made, in my opinion. And it's not as bold as a claim as people think it is, because it's just such a good show. I feel like you're in a spot, same with Grace, who played Chrissy, where you show up for season 4. So the show has a lot of legs and a lot of fans. So you can prepare yourself a little bit more. Is that safe to say a little bit in terms of the craze that came after?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you get cast and you know that life is going to go crazy because, I mean, everyone who's ended up on the show, whether in a big part or a small part, something dramatic has ended up happening in their career. Mm-hmm. So I was prepared in that sense. And then I got to talk a lot with Amy Beth McNulty, who plays Vicky this season. And she's done like a bunch of stuff in the past. She was Anne on Anne with an E. And so she really gave me a lot of advice for just like what this kind of process was going to be like. And I mean, she ended up being spot on. It's a real dramatic, sudden shift, and to suddenly have so many people paying attention to what you're doing and wanting to know what's next for you and where you're going and what's your new content. And it's definitely an overwhelming feeling, but I feel like I was able to kind of prep myself and get things ready for this moment.
Was there any like research specifically with the journalistic component of the role, like working for the school paper, being a journalist, or not really?
Honestly, not really. Yeah. I think a lot of it is just about bringing the things that I connect with. Like, sure, there are characters that you do research on. There are characters that you really need to like dive into. But at least for me with Fred, it was a lot of just drawing my own personal experiences in life, just like being passionate about acting and being passionate about like kind of nerd culture and all that, and feeling like an outsider at points, and feeling like sometimes you have the right ideas but you don't know how to communicate them. I feel like I just connected with Fred a lot in those ways and kind of brought that to everything that I was doing.
Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen Stranger Things 4. There's not many of them, I don't think. They're not as many as out there, but just in case, what's
They're still out there. I'm still seeing people get mad at me when I post things and they're like, "You're spoiling the series."
Okay, spoiler alert.
It's been out for a while, guys.
Spoiler alert, Logan. Let's tell them this. Spoiler alert. What's your mindset knowing you're going to be one of Vecna's victims specifically? Acting preparation wise?
I mean, a lot of it is just kind of understanding what you're there to do, and the fact that you're kind of there to be just like a quick in and out. And a lot of it is the excitement, I think, of being on a show like this, where having a character that gets disposed of early is a thing that is beloved by the fans, and the fans tend to connect to those characters. And so there's a lot of pressure to kind of live up to the legacies of like the Barbs and the Bobs and Alexi from season 3. And you're kind of trying to make sure you do, you're holding on to that you're giving people a reason to care. And so I think there was a lot of just really committing to how much I loved Fred and how much I thought that really he cared about other people, and the audience that, and they end up falling in love with him, and that's just a joy to watch.
What was it like specifically, the scenes with Fred and Nancy, but specifically like the car scene? Like, what was that scene like specifically, shooting that?
I mean, honestly, it's just a lot of fun. Natalia's a really great actor, and she gives a lot whenever we're working together. And so there was a lot of just responding to what she gave me, writing so solid from the Duffers that it's really, it does all the work for you. It was a lot of fun, honestly. I'm just there having a good time and really enjoying getting to tell this story and to make people laugh. And yeah.
Oh, it is so crazy. Is it starting to hit you a little bit that like the show for you specifically, it's not really going anywhere? Like day by day, like there's always going to be messages. There's always going to be tweets and like theories about Fred. Like it's just kind of going to be consistent. Is it starting to hit you more and more that it's not going anywhere ever?
It still feels like a fever dream, honestly. I mean, like at the same time that the show came out, I moved out of my childhood home. I had a birthday, like a bunch of things happened all at once that were very life-changing. And so to have this thing that I've worked so long for, I've known about it since like 2019, to have it finally happening, I think is still really surreal for me. Maybe ask me in like 6 months if I still feel the same way.
Well, I just feel like it's just one of those shows, and I definitely think it's the Netflix factor that it's just always around, and like everywhere you go, whether it's like, because like it's crazy. Like I'm gonna blow your mind a little bit right now if you think about it. Like take social media away of the equation, right? It is a very big show, so take social media away from the equation. But if you go to the grocery store, like there is a chance that you will see something Stranger Things, whether it's a product in the store or someone wearing like a Stranger Things shirt. Like, you know what I mean? Like it is one of those can't escape situations if you think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of move through the world and like feel like you're a part of something that everyone is aware of.
Yes.
People might not be aware you're a part of it. Like Matt, with all of that, like there's such a feeling of not only knowing who anybody is, but I see Hellfire Club shirts and Strange shirts and just different stuff related to the show pretty much anywhere I go. So there's a real interesting feeling to like feel constantly like you're a part of this gigantic thing.
And before we wrap up too, I mean, the music is just amazing. Specifically season 4 soundtrack was so good. Have you been like us, kind of having a lot of those songs on repeat specifically? Like it's pretty crazy.
I feel like a lot of people really fell in love with Running Up That Hill, and I love Kate Bush. I think that song is fantastic. But honestly, the one I connected to was Master of Puppets. I hadn't like listened to a lot of Metallica, and so hearing Eddie play that and then to listen to it after the whole series and just really connecting the story that the Duffers were telling with that song to the song itself is just, it's been awesome of that.
I'll tell you what the coolest thing about the Master of Puppets thing for me is the reactions from the people like myself who know that song very well, and then the complete opposite of that. The people that didn't know that song. That was the best part about it, where you had like two completely different reactions. Because let's be honest, some people don't like listen to metal as much as like people like myself. You know, it's not for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that dichotomy of like some people being like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what song this is. And some people being like, what song is this? This sounds sick.
Right?
Like, I love that.
That's what I feel like made it more special, in my opinion.
Right.
Which was so crazy because I'm a big Metallica fan. I've seen him in concert many times. That's one of my favorite Metallica songs. So I was freaking out. But then you can't assume that everyone knows Metallica. Like, it's kind of like ignorant a little bit to like assume, right? Like, it's like one of the biggest metal bands of all time. There's some people that like don't listen to metal like, at all. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's also not like they picked just any like metal song from the 80s. It's like, just like Running Up That Hill, they like pick a song that really specifically fits that character in that moment and like helps to tell that story. I think it's really awesome.
It's so crazy. There's so much. It's so amazing. Logan, thank you so much for coming on Pop Turn. It was great chatting with you.
Yeah, Petey, this was so much fun. Thank you.
No problem. Volume 1 and 2 available on Netflix right now for Stranger Things. They can catch you as Fred Benson. You have an Instagram account they can keep up to date with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm at Logan Riley Bruner on Instagram. I'm on pretty much any social media. So if you look up Logan Riley Bruner, you'll find me.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popturnative, youtube.com/Popturn for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Logan Riley Bruner and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popturnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popturnative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popturnative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.